So our model for today is what do I need to buy? It's grammar from our book Supergal. Let's start with the expressions of quantity: a few, a little, a lot of, much, many, and enough. If you're talking about something count, like you can count it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, you can, for example, I eat a few carrots. You can say 1 carrot, 2 carrots. Also, if I said how many bananas do you eat, you can say 1 banana, 2 banana. The non-count, like for example, I don't eat much bread. You cannot count the bread. I eat a little seafood. You cannot count the seafood itself. So we use a lot of and enough for both count and non-count nouns, okay? I eat a lot of eggs, but I don't eat a lot of bread. I don't eat enough fruit. So only a lot and enough, we can use them with both count and non-count. But with count, we use only few and many. And then count, we use only much and little. Okay? So I want you to complete that conversation with any, a little, a few, dozen, package, enough, many, and much. So remember the count that you can say 1, 2, 3, and the non-count that you cannot count it. For example, do you need help? She said, yes, I'm going to make a cake. Please check the refrigerator. Are there any eggs? So any is coming with count and then count. Yes, there are. How many? So I can count the eggs, 1, 2, 3. There are only a few left. So I use a few because I can count the eggs. How much butter is there? So the butter, you cannot count it. So I used much. There is only a little left. So of course, a little because it's butter. There is not enough for a cake. So because not, I used enough. Can you please go to the store and get a package of butter and a dozen eggs? Now the pronouns something, anything, and nothing. For example, I have something for lunch, so I have it. Or I don't have anything for lunch, so you don't have something or anything. I have nothing for lunch, so it's nothing, negative. Now, complete the sentences with something, anything, and nothing. For example, number 1, you're a good cook. You always have something delicious for dinner. The refrigerator is empty. There is nothing to eat in here, so because it's empty, so there is nothing, of course. I haven't made anything special for supper. Make yourself a sandwich. There is nothing better than a nice cup of coffee after a meal. Aren't you having anything for breakfast? So I'm asking questions, so I used anything. You should eat something in the morning. It's not good to go out on an empty stomach. Now, the sequence words like first, then, after, that, and finally, usually we use them in our paragraphs just to make them clear and understandable and connected to each other. First, for example, first you mix the flour and the eggs, then you add a little butter. After that, you put in a teaspoon of baking powder. Finally, you let it rise. So always we start with first and end it with finally, okay? Complete the recipe. Use after, before. Like you can use the before twice, first, finally, and then twice. For example, number 1, before you start, check that you have all the ingredients. First, put 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3 teaspoons of baking powder into a bowl. Then, add half a cup of milk, 1 tablespoon of margarine, and 1 egg to the ingredients in the bowl and mix them well to make the dough. After you have made the dough, let it stand for about 30 minutes. Before you spread the dough, make sure it has risen enough. Then spread it evenly on the pan using your fingers. Finally, you cover it with cheese and tomato sauce and let it bake in a very hot oven for about 30 minutes. So do you see we ended with the word finally, and you can use then, before, after, how many times. So for today we learned about the use expressions of quantity, the arranged sequence words, and the matching the pronouns. Thank you for listening.